You're now watching Sports Bettor's Paradise on the BetRivers Network.
Jimmy Ott here with the red-hot Randy McKay. Yes, indeed, another winning week. I mean, it's getting kind of tired. Go ahead, baby. 2-1 last week, 20-10 the last 10 weeks. A perfect 5-1 collectively. Now, you and Brady Canning had the same pick with the under on Monday night, so we'll count that as 4-1, but you know, if you double up on a double pick, there you go. Good job by our NFL contributors here on the Sports Bettor's Paradise. Big Randy, fresh back from that Sunday night game, Denver and Minnesota. Had a little bit of everything in that one. Probably the key spot in that one was that fumble. The fumbles came back to cost Minnesota that lead. Boy, it was amazing that there were a 2-point conversion away from not even covering in that game because they had control of the game for most of it. So now you're back and looking at the NFL schedule. One of the things you are a schedule. You look at it before they even tee it up for the first time in the regular season, and you like to work buys. Coming off of buys sometimes. The Indianapolis Colts are coming off of a bye. They host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are laying 2.5 against the visiting Bucs.
Yeah, and you got a kind of a wounded team here that got a bye. You know, the injury reports aren't out full yet, so always look at your injury reports going into the games, but the injury reports this early aren't real accurate, but you get a big wounded team that's played pretty well, 5-5 record, surprising for this Colts team. You know, on the other side, you know, Tampa's still in it as well, so they got a shot always in the AFC South. It's pretty much up for grabs, so you got two teams here. Tampa comes off a hard-hitting San Fran game and then has got to travel back to play in the Dome against this Colts team. And I see an edge here getting in early on this 2.5 because I believe this game will go to 3 or maybe even higher depending on what this injury report comes out. And, you know, I think Indianapolis will have some success now with Taylor getting back into the game plan. You know, this is one of the best running backs in the NFL a couple years ago, you know, and this offensive line, a little better last year than they were the year before. Year before, when Frank Reich was the coach, he had it was a makeshift outfit there, and he had to really make up some play calls to hide some of the problems they were having. But they're getting back to where they're a strong unit. You know, Minshew, kind of a gunslinger, you know, better backup quarterback than starter, but this is what they got going forward, you know. And on the other side, you know, Mayfield, you know, always kind of that middling road, you know, get you down to the red zone, but then they can't convert like they did last week against the San Fran team. I think they'll have a lot of problems too. The big difference in this game for me is this Tampa Bay so below average offensive line, not very good on the road in a loud environment in that Dome. Of course, they did get the victory in week 1 versus Minnesota, but I can see them struggling here in the Dome against a good defensive line with Buckner and company here for the Colts. So -2.5 here for me with the Colts.
Tampa Bay covering that closing line last week at plus 13.5. Remember that thing opened up at 10, went all the way to 13.5, and kind of a gutsy effort for them. They kind of hung, you know, traded punches a little bit, found a way to cover it, but now back-to-back road trips as they'll go to Indianapolis this week. And you know, Baker Mayfield still, he makes some plays, and then he'll real ball security issues and things like that. So, which kind of erase some of the good plays that he'll make. But they did battle hard in San Francisco. Indy fresh off of that bye. And yeah, you talked about that was out of nowhere when their offensive line kind of went south, because that was sort of a given that they had one of the best offensive lines year in and year out. But and it kind of went south that particular year, Reich's last year. All right, boy, a lot of things to talk about with this Kansas City team, okay? We hit the under, all right, but Kansas City up 10. A lot of people whining who had Kansas City. That's fine, but keep in mind, that's why you hedge to, create, insurance for your original bet and create a massive middles opportunity. But, as soon as Philly got it, you have all the drops. You had the bad weather. You had the field position game. The exchange of punts were terrible. Reed goes for it on 4th and 2 or 3, gets a 19 net yard punt. Philadelphia right before that got a 60-yard net punt, so that flipped the field. But Philly flat out stole it from Kansas City. So Kansas City looking bad, recency bias, or man, Kansas City's got some problems. One thing I saw too was Kansas City up front. Man, they were playing hard. They really controlled, their defensive line controlled the offensive line for Philadelphia. All Philly could do was get a little screen, kind of, catching their pressure, sucking in for one key play. But I see them. They left a lot on that field in a rematch of the Super Bowl against Philadelphia. Vegas is 3-0 now against the spread since the coaching change. They didn't win, but they covered easily the closing line of 14 down in Miami, and now they're at home catching 9.5 against these Kansas City Chiefs. Lots to figure out here, Randy.
Yeah, definitely lots to figure out. Kansas City has dominated this series against the Raiders. Hopefully look to turn it around here, getting 9.5 points. You got a 7-3 Kansas City team now against a 5-6 Raider team still in the playoff mix in the wide open AFC. Who knows who's going to get in the wild card spot there? I mean, there's so many candidates that we could run down. It would take a while for the breakdown. So, this Kansas City team struggling off that Monday night game, and we've seen these receivers have big-time troubles with the catching the ball situation. I saw that against Detroit, and they lead the league in drop passes. This offense has really been struggling, especially in second halves. Last 2 games, no points against Miami, I believe, and against Philly last night. So, and this Las Vegas Raider team has a better defense than expected. Going into the year, they weren't considered a great unit, but we're seeing Crosby and company, and even in the defensive backfield, we've seen them improve a lot, getting some turnovers against Miami. Miami missed a lot of field goals too. Bend don't break kind of defense, which is perfect in this situation. Getting this kind of points. Plus, under Pierce now, we're seeing the Las Vegas Raider team kind of change their persona, run the ball a little bit more, control the ball with Jacobs. And another key here for their offense is they might get back big offensive tackle here, Colton Miller. And that would help against Jones and company, who you described dominated that game against Philly. KC left many points off the board. Got to be a weird game in that second half. They had a good chance, but I can see them coming in this game. They want to get right, but they're going to struggle to do it, and the Raiders are going to be there. Of course, we got a rookie quarterback who's showing some signs, maybe can get some offense going there too for the Raiders. So plus 9.5 here for the Raiders, I think, is too much. This game should be right around 7.
All right, a lot of points on the road. And I think a little bit of that high number, too, is just the branding. In the Super Bowl, defending Super Bowl champs, we think this Kansas City offense is going to flick a switch or something. That's not going to happen, man. I mean, they got way more problems than that. Get extra value this football season with the BetRivers Squares. Win up to $10,000 in bonus money. Bet $10 in same-game parlays on any game with the Squares icon to earn a square. That's brought to you by our friends over at BetRivers. All right, you got a teaser for us to close out Thanksgiving Day schedule in the NFL. Green Bay is going to Detroit. Boy, I guess they will actually have a little time to focus on the TV instead of with the in-laws and everything. Huh, Randy? So, the NFL for so many years has forced us to interact with our family. But this one, we got one to watch. Detroit is minus 7.5 at home against Green Bay. And then Cleveland at Denver. Cleveland is plus 2.5. You look at a tease, of course, over the 3-7, the long teaser. Detroit down to 1.5. Cleveland up to plus 8.5. Start with the Green Bay-Detroit game.
Yeah, and before I do that, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and special day. You get the 3 games plus the Black Friday. I wasn't going to give out. Some of these teams are, a couple points higher in the spread because they get more public action on Thanksgiving than any day. I wasn't going to painfully you guys with a Washington plus 11 pick, so I decided to take this one for the show. Detroit pulled off a win and when they're playing their C or D game last week against the Bears. The Bears had a pretty good performance there and kind of gave that one away late. I don't think Green Bay's offense can hang in there with Detroit's offense here. So getting that down to 1.5 looks very appealing to me. I just don't want to deal with laying that kind of number and then getting backdoored by a lucky Packer run or something. So that's the way I look at this game. Of course, this game's for playoffs too. Green Bay, very slim chance with a 4-6 record. But, and then of course, Detroit got a big break there with the Vikings losing on Sunday night because they got to play the Vikings 2 more times and might struggle with them there because Vikings usually dominate that series against them. So they're looking pretty fat and happy, and hopefully they keep it going for us and get us in the 1.5 point range there.
I wonder how much. The only thing that scares me about that teaser is Green Bay, a little pride here. It was on Thursday night where they were just pushed around by the Detroit Lions in Lambeau. So I'm interested to see that one. And in Cleveland plus 2.5, going to tease it to plus 8.5 against Denver. Cleveland is built for close games and unders. It certainly looks like another one against Pittsburgh on Sunday.
Yeah, you got a 7-3 Cleveland team who's right in the race there with Baltimore for the AFC North, and then you got Denver now in the playoff run as well. Another one of these AFC teams that 7 spots available, and they got a 5-5 record, so they're right there. This looks like a very low scoring type game as reflected in the total. You got one of the best defenses on the road. And you got a young quarterback who came back, got the win there against the Steelers. We still covered. That was an ugly game. Didn't watch too much of it because usually I have the red zone on, and they only like offense on that, so you don't see the ugly plays. And very low-scoring team, Denver, who likes to kick field goals, where they have four field goals against the Vikings. It seems like Sean Payton likes to take the hands off of Russell Wilson so he doesn't turn the ball over, and it's been working these last 3 games. No turnovers for Denver, been controlling the turnover differential, and that's been their key to success. So that all bodes well for us getting plus 8.5 here with the Browns team, who might even win the game outright.
Peyton showed me a little versatility because he had that long stretch with Drew Brees where he can trust him so much. He can attack the field with also protecting the ball, and that was just not the case with Wilson. Wilson is not what he used to be. He is what he is now, and, he's a game manager, and that gives him the best chance to win. Some things fell their way on Sunday night, but at least they fell their way against Monday night as well. But, giving themselves a chance to win the game. Not beating themselves is the first thing, to their approach with Denver right now. So Cleveland plus 8.5. DTR, okay, in his first start with reps instead of that thrown-in start against Baltimore earlier in the year. And then Detroit minus 1.5 against the Green Bay Packers. You got to think they'll have their attention. Detroit focus will be there because they were fortunate they were in position to come back against the Chicago Bears on Sunday. They did it, but they were a very low win percentage probability late in that one. We're thankful for you, Randy McKay. Hell yeah. If we can't be thankful for 20-10 over a 10-week stretch, what the hell can we be thankful for? Happy Thanksgiving to you, my man. We appreciate you. And happy Thanksgiving to all of our viewers and listeners here in the Sports Bettor's Paradise. For Randy McKay, I'm Jimmy Ott. Happy Thanksgiving here from the Sports Bettor's Paradise in the BetRivers YouTube channel.